Hi everyone, Glass here. So I have a pretty special set for y'all today, and it's not a DJ set. So I wanted to explain a little bit about where it's coming from before we begin. And the title that I chose for this set is Existence Precedes Essence, which is a fundamental tenet of the philosophical theory of existentialism. To me, the phrase basically means that all of us are born, like our existence begins as a blank slate. And all of us have the power to decide what we want our essence as a human being to be as we grow up. And I believe that a huge part of that essence is finding a purpose in life. And for me, the purpose that I found for my life is experiencing and creating art. And I know this because I find my greatest fulfillment in experiencing art. There have been moments when I've doubted my own existence, or I've questioned why I should stay alive. And whenever that happens, I'll remember a moment from the past, like a concert that I really enjoyed, or a TV episode that really spoke to me. And that always reminds me to stay alive. So even when I'm really depressed and I feel like I have nothing else to live for, I know I want to stay alive because I want to keep experiencing art that beautiful. So for this set, I'm going to share with you some art that I feel keeps me alive. Basically what I did was I chose a few songs that I really love. And part of why I love these songs is because every single one of them creates this image or this feeling in my mind like I'm experiencing something in a very specific location. And that makes them very special to me because not every song can do that. So I am going to talk to you about what these songs feel like to me and what they mean to me. And I'm going to play them out for you. And over the past couple of months, I drove to a few places that feel like these songs to me, and I filmed my perspective to be the visuals for the set. So you can kind of experience it with me too. But yeah, that's going to be my set, and I hope you enjoy. My first song is from an album called Nocturne by Wild Nothing. So when I listened to this album for the first time, I got to this song and I knew it was gonna be special. Like, the song really captivated me. I put it on loop and I listened to it for probably a couple of hours, and I had to stop myself and move on to the rest of the album to finish it. If I had to describe this song in some way, I would say it feels like a really warm embrace, like a hug. I really love the way the instrumental parts of this song build up, and like with every instrument that comes in, the bass, the guitar, the snares, it just feels like the hug becomes tighter and more loving. But the part of the song that really gets to me is the bridge. So you know how when you're outside during a heat wave and you can see the heat distorting the stuff in front of you? That's what the bridge feels like to me. The bridge is a full 2 minutes of these really hazy sounds that make me feel like I'm lying down on a sunny beach with my eyes closed, and I'm just focusing on the sound of the waves that are crashing in front of me, and I'm hearing the sounds of life that surround me. It's this feeling of calming bliss that I just wish would last forever. That's what this song feels like to me.
So sweet, saying
So moving on, this next song is from possibly my favorite piece of media that I have ever experienced. So when I was younger, I played a ton of video games, basically anything that my brother would buy. I don't think too many people know this about me because I don't talk about it too much, but video games are my #1 source of creative inspiration. Video games have immersed me in universes, world building, and stories that influence how I view all types of art, including music. You know how we dream at night? Our dreams tend to reflect the strongest parts of our psyche, right? Like when we're unconscious. Well, almost every single time I dream, my brain chooses to make me feel like I'm in a video game. That's just how my brain is wired now. Even though I've played lots of well-known games, some that are considered to be among the greatest of all time, I really never had a favorite video game. I never had one that really spoke to me. Whenever people asked me what my favorite video game was, I didn't really have a good answer. I would just say something random. But that was until I played Nier Automata. Now, I'm not going to get into specifics because I could, and I already have talked for hours and days about this game to people. But Automata is by far the most profound, creative, genuinely incredible game I've ever played. Like everything from the lore, the gameplay mechanics, the plot structure, the philosophical ramifications of the story, and especially the music. The Nier soundtrack is actually the main factor that convinced me to play the game. So this next song is one of my favorites from the Automata soundtrack. It's called Memories of Dust, and it's the environmental track for the desert areas in the game. So whenever I hear it, I envision these forlorn structures that are buried in endless expanses of sand, filled with memories that will never be unearthed. This one is really special to me. So this next song was made in 24 hours by two incredibly talented friends of mine. And I've got to say, it's one of the most magical tracks I've ever heard. if I had to place this song in a scene, I would say it feels like the ending of a long night. And I guess I'll explain what that means. So, before the pandemic, I used to go to a lot of events in LA by myself, which meant I would be in the city until pretty late. You know, like 2 or 3 a.m. or even later. And being alone has always felt really liberating to me. When I'm in LA by myself, I get this really specific, like heavy feeling of contemplation. LA is a city that brims with light and life, and where there are people all around me. But I'm still alone. And it's both desolate and empowering at the same time, especially when it's late at night. So this is one song that captures that feeling for me. I've always said this song's piano melodies have felt like rivers that shine in the darkness, and I can see twinkling city lights reflected in them that seem to be floating downstream from me, and I'm observing these lights alone. But in the middle of this solitude, we hear a confluence of voices, recordings of Neras and Paark's friends, all saying the word together. And I guess it reminds me that I'm never really alone, and I'm really grateful for that. So if confluence is the ending of a long night, I would say this next song is like my soundtrack to coming home. It's from my favorite album of all time, Cataclysm. I tend to listen to this album when I'm driving home from LA after those late nights, since it takes at least half an hour for me to get home, and I have enough time to get a full album in. So that's why I associate this song with the act of driving home alone. It's hard to explain why I love this album. It's by my current favorite artist of all time, Crywolf, and it was a striking departure from his old sound when he released it 5 years ago, which I love. I love it when artists do different things, and I love what that transformation represents for the growth of their art. And it was written in Iceland, a place with really eerie, beautiful landscapes if you've never seen it. When I traveled to Iceland almost 2 years ago, this is gonna sound cheesy, but it literally felt like I left a part of my soul there, because I feel this urge to go back and visit it and like make sure that part of me is still okay. Cataclysm is really emotive, musically, lyrically. I think the best word I could use to describe its sound is cinematic. So it's kind of perfect for this event with cinematic sets. I love albums that can create worlds out of music, and this is a huge one that does that for me. So this song is called The Hunger in Your Haunt, and it flows seamlessly into the finale of the album.
Watch it from our houses in the snow. Was it me you wanted when you said you wanted something more than what you I felt love in a different place, and I felt you move in a different way, and all my life's been a whisper without you. I've been alone in a million places, and I've seen God in some dirty faces, and all that I could think about was you.
So the past few months have been kind of rough for me. I had a pretty bad creative block and depressive phase from around August to October. It didn't feel like the depression that I'm used to. So usually when I get depressed, I can't feel any emotions, and it makes me miserable to the point that I actually start feeling things and getting angry that I can't feel anything, and I usually have a breakdown. But this time, I couldn't feel anything, and I also didn't care at all. It was really scary. I was dissociating almost 24/7. I couldn't remember things that I did or said a couple days prior, and I had almost zero capacity for reaching out to people. I had no desire to listen to music, and doing DJ sets for events I had been booked for felt like a chore, which told me something was definitely wrong because I pretty much always enjoyed DJing, and in the past, music has been what's helped me heal when I fall into a depressive state. I didn't know how to describe how I'd been feeling until I realized one night that I had been feeling this way because of my social anxiety. It had become so severe recently that I just did not want to be perceived. Now, this is something that's probably pretty obvious to anyone who's ever interacted with me in person, but I was finally formally diagnosed with social anxiety disorder just last month. It's been a huge barrier for me my entire life, and when it comes to creative things, I have a lot of trouble posting stuff about my work online. And in general, it's just really, really hard for me to put myself out there and socialize with people. So this time around, my social anxiety it got so severe that I literally felt like I didn't want to exist in this world anymore. And I just want to clarify that I was not suicidal, and I'm not suicidal now. I just wanted to cease to exist without killing myself. And the best way for me to do that was to disappear as best as I could. So I deleted every social media app off of my phone, and I started focusing on healing alone. I went on a road trip to Utah at the same time, and I decided to use the trip to reset my mind. I'm a huge nature person when I travel, so being in nature is always liberating for me. It feels different. So when we drove up into the mountains at dawn for the first time, I decided to put on the album Silencia by Hammock, and it turned out to be exactly what I needed to hear. When I saw the autumn leaves and foliage in the mountains with Hammock in the background, I can't even explain the feeling in words. I just finally felt like I was healing. My mind was clear for the first time in months, and I actually felt happy and at peace. It just felt like things would be okay again, and it gave me hope that I would feel okay again. I'm sure if you've experienced this before with music, you know what I mean. So that's what Hammock's music did for me a couple of months ago. And this is going to be the last song I'm sharing with y'all. It's called We Try to Make Sense of It All. So that's my OMNI3 set. And before I go, I just want to give a huge shout out to Pastel for having me, and also for organizing this event that gives us creatives a chance to get creative with our sets, because I was really excited to do something different this time around. Putting out the set is honestly really nerve-wracking for me, because I'm worried that it's gonna seem like boring or cheesy or whatever. And it's really weird to be exposing a part of myself to an audience that probably has people whom I don't even know in it. That's made the process of creating this video kind of difficult for me, but also really empowering because everything I've shared has been really personal to me. So I hope you all liked some of the songs I chose because I love them very, very much. And I hope you learned a little bit about me. And I'll leave you with one final message to remind you about the theme of this set. Existence precedes essence. We all have the power to create meaning in our lives and find fulfillment in what we do. And I personally support every single person, each and every one of you, in your journey to find that meaning. I know that my journey has been very long and very difficult, and it's definitely not over. And it may never be over for any of us because we're always growing as people. But for what it's worth, I'm really glad that I've grown to be here in this moment right now with all of you. So thank you so much for being here and for watching my set. Good night.